Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they are willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. I just remembered I forgot to check my. Oh, it looks like my audio's working. Oh, yeah, and the speakers test out fine. Do you ever think about how much it costs? I saw a video today about maintenance on the highways, maintenance on anything you build. Buy it new and it's going to run like that forever? Never. We can't maintain those old world buildings. I'm thinking maintenance of the old world buildings may have cost too much to maintain. To rebuild the Notre Dame Cathedral that burnt down a few years ago, how much? How much did that cost? How much does it cost to maintain the roads that they're not maintaining, the bridges that they are destroying? Once again, how many children could have been fed by fill in the blank check for anything but Christ? But, they had to rebuild Notre Dame. They have their priorities. How new is everything? How new is electric music? 100 years old, electric guitar. The wall of sound when they started recording to where it wasn't just a band playing. Just like Ronnie said, be my little baby. In my day, I liked the Pretenders, the band The Pretenders, because they admitted they were pretenders, although some people thought Cheap Trick was reinventing rock and roll. Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. Did I already say all that? Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. We're going to talk about feminism tonight, lean heavy on music, hit a few things. Look, we lost the culture war. That's the main thing I'm coming to grips with. It's why I'm sharing this. It's why dozens of people from all of the continents, well, they say there's 7. They lie about everything, so I don't know. But I know I get messages from 4 or 5, from friends, and sometimes it's more than a dozen people, maybe even 100. But feminism, my main argument, and I'm going to have a lot of videos, it's going to be eclectic here a little, there a little, because I've been busy. I've been riding my new mini bike, doing a lot of stuff like that. No, I never saw System of a Down. I never heard their music, but their album cover Toxicity, I saw it in a resale store and I had to have it. It's like I used to wear a T-shirt of the story so far. Oh, maybe I have heard Chop Suey. Okay, I think I have heard Chop Suey. Let's start with the pictures. See what I scanned for today, because you know that this is always like a spoiler alert. So some of your topics are going to be here today. So I already won. STUX Stuknex is the cyber superpower. There is only one, and that's the United States. Okay. Stuxnet. It infected the personal computers of everybody around the world. Mother told me, yes, she told me I'd meet girls like you. She also told me, stay away. You'll never know what you'll catch. Just the other day, I heard a soldier's falling off. You know what they're talking about, right? Some Indonesian junk that's going around. That was Cheap Trick. They were reinventing rock, a band from the Rockford, Illinois. Never bothered to go see them. So I translated a word and I took a picture of it because there's a video on YouTube about Canyon City and their prison, and it shows them. We teach the inmates how to do a useful job, like stamping out license plates, and they stamp one out, and it said "Relense bon sag," which means "slow down, damn it," in French, in an American prison in Colorado. So I took a picture of it. I thought, that's weird. There it is. I took a picture of that thing too. Oh, I guess they figured out that this isn't from earlier today, that Project Paperclip. So those are all the new pictures. These are some other we might look through today, depending on how much time we have. And now, here we go. Presentation time. I feel like I can express my emotions better if you can see me sometimes. If I have to go, oh, you'll know that, it's like, oh, I get it. Did I just click off the whole share screen thing to say that? Now I have to go back and do this again. Not a big deal, but dead air time. I'm explaining it to you. Here's the whole, what's going on here? Short video, fair use is, hey, I'm just a guy that thinks he's a prophet, that it's the end of the world. Give me a break. I should be able to say whatever I want. I'm not trying to make money or anything. Fair use news. Feminism started somewhere because they couldn't vote. But they forget to tell you that 99% of the men couldn't vote, white or black. You had to be a property owning Greek or something like that. In the Enlightenment, you had to be super rich. So basically, what feminism was about was rich women wanted to vote like the rich men, but not like the other poor women or the poor men, because the fact was nobody could vote back then. It was like fixed, like it's fixed now.
Godmother of the women's movement, Mary Wollstonecraft. Mary is perhaps one of the first to introduce people to the idea that an oppressive male hierarchy is responsible for the subjugation of women. Her view of the female
Subjugation. Women have been subjugated, but I find the happiest people are, women who don't pay attention to the women's rights movement and just live their life and have a family. So Mary Wollstonecraft, who's this girl?
to a daughter. This child was also named Mary and also became a famous figure in history.
Mary Shelley.
Her full name is Mary Shelley, and she is the author of the timeless Gothic classic Frankenstein.
And they prop her up. They prop up that Wolfenstein lady. They prop up Mary Shelley's husband. Who is he? Lord Byron? And he was a bigamist who was going around raping 15-year-old girls, and Mary was one of them. And then he kidnapped her and took her for a weekend, and she wrote Frankenstein. He wrote Dracula under the direction of somebody from the Freemasons, and the rest is, as they say.
Mary Wollstonecraft's widower, William Godwin, refused to attend his late wife's funeral. Godwin was an avowed atheist and therefore a pure mortalist.
So he didn't want to go to something that celebrated death or something. I read that girl's essay. She was assigned reading freshman, philosophy. This picture, we studied in art appreciation, man in the Enlightenment.
Backdrop for womanism. So did the Romantic movement. Rising up in response to what they perceived as the coldness of Enlightenment rationalism, the Romantics instead emphasized poetry, passion, imagination, and emotion.
Check this
Family,
guy
and as
out.
the heir of a considerable estate, his riches afforded him the ability to pursue his unconventional interests, which included fire, the occult, secret societies, and women. Like Godwin, Shelley was also a dedicated atheist, and his 1811 title The Necessity of Atheism got him expelled from Oxford.
So
70s.
somehow Mary Shelley is an icon for feminism when she was a raped 15-year-old. The girl that her husband was married to killed herself. because he left her for another 15-year-old who turned 16 when she had his baby. She started writing, and the rest is history. What an icon of feminism. What are these guys knuckleheads doing?
And the rampant promiscuity of our own day tend to come to mind. But the thought world of 50 Shades of Grey can be found as early as the 18th century writings of the Marquis de Sade. And
Wow, this is like a PG-13 show. See, I just kind of pop around here and see, Mary Shelley,
she had only one connection, to Satan. Not to be forgotten is Percy's wife, Mary Shelley. At the young age of 18, she wrote the horror classic Frankenstein. If you haven't read the book and plan on doing so, there are spoilers ahead. But some scholars, like Cary Gress, have seen in this work a picture of Mary Shelley herself. Like the lost creature who follows Dr. Frankenstein to the ends of the earth, Mary followed Percy around Europe, never to be truly loved by him. And in this, we can perhaps also see the fatal flaw of womanism.
Maybe she just wanted to be like Hillary Clinton. She had her man. We went over some of this morning.
Following his miraculous year, one might have expected Einstein to quickly secure an academic position. Yet, no offers came his way. Einstein's sister recalled he was bitterly disappointed.
Here I am, the smartest guy in the world. Nobody's paying attention until...
And mass are interchangeable. The speed of light is a very large number, and
I
when
kind
you
of
square it, it
threw
becomes
that off a little bit. It
enormously
was supposed to
huge.
be
So
here.
a small amount of mass results in a vast differ from their actual locations. This was confirmed during
when you can figure that out and make the Earth work like a globe, when you can figure this out, you're a keeper. They'll use you. You can convince them Schrodinger's cat can be dead and alive, and you can make a water atomic blow up. It's going to blow up.
General relativity also predicts that gravity bends light, altering the apparent position of...
There you go. It's not only... So he added Isaac Newton to gravity, and so you're in, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. Oh, you're no Einstein. Wait, he is Einstein. Hey, I just appealed the thing. I got 180 days to take action. My Facebook account was suspended, and the guy who suspended it, when you click on it to say, like, why did you suspend it? It's a used furniture store that doesn't, it's closed down. So there's like, they got scammed. Facebook got scammed. I don't really care, but what are you doing, man? I just told everybody, oh, look, I was looking up water today. For some reason, in between when Brother RJ and I were talking about Bible probably on this morning show, I decided they're like, how come nobody talks about water being H4O2 anymore? I remember I used to do shows about it a couple of years ago. So I searched it. I wonder if there are any in here that are like, these are ones that people like to share. Hey, there's my favorite teacher.
Okay, let's look at how we write about our chemicals, because that is relevant as well.
This is chemical notations. We want your lecture on water.
However, that's what I just drew.
Oh, okay.
There are all sorts of rules that you'll learn in chemistry for how to put atoms
this
together.
Is what water should really be, or even
like what we would have to do in order to make that possible.
H8O4.
Sure well, I'm not even going to think about it. But if we want to say we have two water molecules, that's where we put in something called a coefficient. This is a subscript. The subscript tells me how many atoms are in the molecule. The coefficient tells me how many molecules we have. So in this case, we have two molecules.
All right. It's confusing, and it's going to be confusing. And I know some of you guys can only look at a beautiful woman for so long. So I guess I kept that up so that you could see. Back to the water. Ions in water. For convenience, we can set the potential energy of the system at O when the distance is infinite. At very large distance, the lone proton only very slightly tugs the electrons of the H2O molecule, but they attract and the system is slightly, sounds like you need to be an Einstein to know. Look, I guess other people asked this. We were all wrapped up to it. Was it 5 years ago when we were trying to go like, I'm mad. Why don't they call water that? Why is water made simple when it's the most ridiculous thing in the world? We got to keep these shows shorter, than I guess is what the deal is. So we're going to skip all that. That's an argument that's not going to be settled tonight, right? You're ready to move on to what's heavy water. We'll just satisfy your curiosity with heavy water as a form of water whose hydrogen atoms are all deuterium. Rather than the common hydrogen, one isotope that makes up most of the hydrogen in normal water. The presence of the heavier isotope gives the water, it's in with the water, but the presence of this isotope gives the water different nuclear properties. And the increase in mass gives it slightly different physical. See the way I went slightly different, because that's the way people talk, communicate. Chemical properties when compared to normal water. I wonder why there's not a blue link for normal water. Heavy water has different physical properties than residue, but it's right mixed in with the regular water. It's 10.6% denser. That's almost 10%. That's like an extra dime out of a dollar. There's more than that. Higher melting point. Water has a melting point? Heavy water is less disassociated. Man, forget about skinny water. I want to be heavy. It's got a slightly blue color. Sometimes you might see that slightly blue color reflected in some snowdrifts, because it would cast that. A magnitude of 10, as a matter of fact. 10.6 maybe. Even dispersion rate would make it seem like the snowdrift is blue. We're not going to learn everything about heavy water in one night. No, that's not what you were thinking. We'll see if there's any pictures of it. That's not helpful. Hey, neither is that. Less helpful. Oh, you can bottle it. You can buy it. Go to the store and say, hey, I'm so tired of normal water, heavy water, but I've been kind of like on diet. And so semi-heavy water would be better. It's the result of replacing one of the protium in light water. Wonder if that's normal. Nope. All right. This whole deal is just to let you know that water is weird, man. Hydrogen peroxide is even weirder because it's basically water, but it turns into an acid, a bleaching agent, an oxidizer, a rocketry. You can use it to launch a rocket, a V2 rocket. They discovered that. The Nazis did in the paperclip, American NASA. Right? That's all we're talking about. Who's that guy? Water. Who wants to study water? I do. I said something about something changed and we lost the culture war. They had all of that burn your bra and all those horny guys said, I'm there. This I got to see, because we were raised with the leave it to the beaver. Lunchbox put out a new show. Seemed pretty good.
Many cities around the world. In the 1800s Great Fires, such as the Baltimore Great Fire. I
Never
had
heard
to add
that
this
one before.
civilization, our timeline that was here, that knew about the true past. We're fully wiped out worldwide, and this is admitted. It is confirmed. Starts 4 years later, this group, with the help of this guy, where we know that he wasn't a part of the group of love. Then 12 years later, they start digging and trying to get to hell.
Welcome to the party. Your next assignment is to talk about feminism and the family and your current ABCs of anything but Christ is wearing old to me. What's number 75 going to be? Another world exposition in San Francisco? The world is burning, dude. The prophecies are coming true. I'm talking about the one on February 2nd that said Satan's throne will be hit on February 4th, and it was. Hollywood.
Similar to what Butler is trying to say here. She's not so maybe internally focused as someone like David Hume, but comes up with a similar concept that essentially that it is the only way that the world makes sense is through this concept of the self. So we create the self. There is no actual self. There is an influence of Derrida on this here. So
he's explaining the three phases of feminism. First wave went from 1840 to the 1950s. And then vaguely the 1960s to the 1980s, but it talks about a book in 1949 that would have been first wave that influenced Ready for Dan, who admits she worked for the CIA, infiltrated the Playboy Club, and then they said, no, we need you to be a feminist. And she said, yes, sir, three bags full. And then, they brought in the whole sexual revolution and everything like that. Hey, man, how you doing?
Oh, hey, man. I just saw I look like shit.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Tell us, how are things in Finland, man? And if you have any Bible questions, hold on. I'm almost finished with this.
Oh, yeah, about that. I was trying to look up your email a few days ago to contact you about that, but there wasn't any.
It's starfortbaby@gmail.com.
All right. Well, we can talk about it now. I mean, or
right,
or arrange something in the future.
Because I'm at a new. I feel like the Lord has got me on this new thing of. It's almost like another burden is lifted to know the culture war is over. Donald Trump's crew is not going to change the world, no matter how much proof we have. My group is not going to be like, men and women should be happy raising a family and wear a bonnet just to be safe. That's not going to sell to the masses. It's always going to be a narrow road.
Yeah, you always have those. You're always going to have those Trumpers. I was a Trumper in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of years. Like, I was all for it, man. And, well, then I went through a phase. I'm like, he's a Jew. And I also saw all the pictures of him at the wall with the cap on and promoting vaccines. That was like the last bit. I'm like, okay, fuck this guy.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I had luckily sworn off all voting and everything long before that election, but it was part of history. It was something big. It was a big deal. The Trump election, because Pizzagate, Podesta, holding up his hands with the cutting is in Marina Abramovich. Who would have even heard of these people? Adrenochrome. We wouldn't have known jack diddly squat.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's just, you sprinkle a little bit of truth in there, a little bit of there, and they have their focus on it. And there's always bigger things going on in the background.
And then they burn it down. And now they're burning the world down. It doesn't seem like it's not the end, but it's going to be the end of the world as we know it, as said by the talking heads who are upcoming. Or maybe did I already go over them? But yeah, we got Life During Wartime coming up because this is a music centric. We've lost the war. They're doing this to us. The world before us, before the 1958 NASA takeover, that our parents and grandparents had to be the survivors that saw other people getting the lobotomies, put into the insane asylums, experimented on, and then disappeared with MK Ultra around the world because all the nations' mafias are in on it. They're the survivors. We're the only generation that looked back and said something happened, and it's biblical. That's my position. Let me just finish up these tabs, and then I'm going to be happy to take any questions that we have here. So we were finishing up with the Tartaria, my lunch break. Good. He's into the world. It was the Nazis. It's 58. It was the new wave feminism, because what this is going to come down to is fourth wave feminism, which is the 2000 today, is the fact that there is no self. There are no male and female is a state of mind that anybody can choose to adhere to at any time. And that's their position, and they're sticking to it. That's just the facts. That's their life, and you're not going to do it. But around the world, I've already mentioned the Stuxnets, the spy stuff that takes over the world in the pictures, and supposedly David Byrne, a 17-year-old from somewhere in Atlanta, wrote this song when and made a big hit and was doing CBGBs when he was 18. He couldn't drink, but he could play in the band. He said, "This ain't no party. This ain't no disco." So you could get the taste of what the music was like, in case you don't know who the Talking Heads were. It kind of goes, "This ain't no fooling around." Trouble in transit. We got through the roadblock. We blended with the crowd. We got computer. We're tapping phone lines. I know that ain't allowed. This ain't no party. This ain't no disco. This ain't no fooling around. We dress like students. We dress like housewives. We're in a suit and a tie. I changed my hairstyle so many times now. I don't even know what I look like. You make me shiver. I feel so tender. You make me a pretty good team. Don't get exhausted. I'll do some driving. You ought to get some sleep. Heard of a van that is loaded up with weapons, packed up and ready to go? Heard of some grave sites out by the highway, a place where nobody knows? Stuxnets. I mentioned it earlier in the photos. It was deployed in North Carolina. There's a Stuxnet 2.0 as of 2018. International Court of Justice is looking into it. This is just another bubble that's breaking. It's a malicious computer worm, first uncovered in 2010. We did it.
Yeah, good
we
job.
did it. It started really kicked up with this Yahoo, and it involves all of this crap, and now it's in welcome to Microsoft 11 or whatever that is.
I like Linux.
No quarter. That's what they're trained for. This is the place where no one goes. That's how Led Zeppelin put it in their song called No Quarter. No quarter during military conflict guarantees that combatants would not be taken prisoner but killed. It's forbidden since 1907, but we don't know if they do that. Now the history of this goes back to 1644, which I'm calling is the like the end of the golden age. An ordinance, but the deal is, and I did not know it today, that the Jolly Rogers with the skull and crossbones meant, if you surrender quickly, we'll let you live. Otherwise, Now, unfortunately, what we also have in history was it appears to be gambling got involved, because siege warfare became so studied that people were placing bets. It says by the 1600s, the siege warfare, described in the Bible, was an exact art, the rules of which were so well understood that wagering on the outcome of other cities, at the end, when everything was falling apart, at the end of the golden age, they were about to get put in your sickle and reap, and so the wheat and the tares would be separated. That's the same as the goat and sheep. Betting on the outcome and duration of a siege became a popular craze, kind of like our gambling craze now. Then enormous sums of £200 was alleged to have been bet on the outcome on the second siege of Limerick by the Jacobites. To me, that is unbelievable. And here we have, a young man somewhere that was probably pretty good at doing those things that young men shouldn't do. So he got propped up, but then he went crazy. But without him, you'd never have the Ronettes. That's when they go, just like Ronette said, be my little babe. That was one of the first songs by Phil Spector with the Wall of Sound. Yeah, he eventually kind of, he knew everybody. If you wanted to be anybody, he did your stuff. And then he went crazy and killed his wife. And he got convicted of murder. He's in jail now, or he died in jail in 2021. Very Wagnerian approach to rock and roll. Do they have the Wall of Sound? Otherwise, you'll have to look at it. But he's the one who made the menudo out of the American bands early on. Ike and Tina Turner, the Ronettes, the Crystals, and many others produced the Beatles' Let It Be. You might have heard of that album. You might have heard of the Beatles. They've been around a while, even after they broke up. But our goal and my goal, and I'm ready to take not only from you, but any other questions, because I worship a God that I believe that now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think according to the power at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, now and forever. It's always going to come down to the fact that some people are going to be tolerant of us, but then eventually it's going to be, so you're telling me I'm going to hell. And, our only answer is going to be, not necessarily. You could believe in Jesus right now, but if I don't, then I'm going to hell. Well, thank you for being tolerant of what I believe is that I'm not going to hell because I believe in Jesus. What you do is between you, but nothing is going to be good enough for them. It's still going to be some people, a narrow road. It will be the breath of life because their heart will have been changed. Other people whose hearts aren't changed and their ears can't hear, how can they hear? And so that's the paradox, is that we have to deal with it. God has a family he has adopted that is somehow going to survive all of this, because no matter if we're looking for giants or Nephilim or anything else, we're all little infected, sin-infected, born-in-sin people who are never going to live a perfect life like Jesus Christ did. And given the temptations that Satan offered Christ, if any one of us was offered a percentage of it, considering what we would do, in our known lives for sex, but not counting the money, the power that Satan could have offered. So we would have all failed that test. That's our Christian position. And I know that's a mouthful.
When's the last time you had sex? It's a personal question, but
Well, it was there was the I got my wife and I separated in 2012. There was the stumbling with the PhD from Berkeley that both of us successfully infiltrated NORAD. She gave me a list of 17 medicines she would be prescribed when she got caught. She got 15 right. I slept with her. And then there was Kelly. And that was a fall in 2016. Lasted, about a month. So there's been a couple of stumbles, but it's been like since 2016.
Yeah.
Pretty,
for me-
and I don't have, and it's no problem. I honestly think for me, it's a calling. It's one of those things that God gives as a gift. Now, most people, they just say, kill me right now. If, you just said you haven't had sex in 8 years and I haven't, they'd say, kill me, just kill me. I wouldn't want to live. And that's, I'm sorry for that, but I did make a vow, and I've, a righteous man can fall 7 times, and 7 times 70, and it's not like I'm going out. But honestly, it's not like I haven't had men and women throwing themselves at me nonstop all my frickin' life. So don't, when we get to heaven and we get to see, he stumbled, we'll see what I didn't do and had the chance to plenty.
Isn't God only going to show you things you did wrong?
No, it's going to be a complete review of every word, thought, and deed for every single one of us that shared through the water that has a constant living memory of everything that's ever happened, not only for us, but for every living thing, dog, horse, bug. I mean, it's going to happen. It'll be quick. I mean, it's a metamorphosis. We have no idea. Your mind, my mind, cannot comprehend what God has in store for those who he says diligently seek him. And that's what it says. Christ was asked, will many be saved? And he said, strive to enter.
What does that mean?
It means work hard.
All right.
It means work hard, because many pay other people to build great buildings in his name, or somehow, like we know the sons of Sceva, false Jews, could do, the power in the name of Jesus, they could cast out demons. But on the day of judgment, they knocked on the door and said, how come we're not feasting? He goes, depart from me. I never knew you. You're wretched and vile. And that's a wide road of people who just thought something about Jesus, heard about him, knew it was good, knew that it was, nobody wants to be the people, or they didn't used to want to be the person, that would mark their body up, present themselves in a way that they might as well wear a t-shirt that would say, I'd rather be eating your baby. Because there are people like that in the world, and that's their thing, man.
I just saw on Facebook, like yesterday, I saw like somebody was at a secret Masonic meeting, but it was like, it looked legit. And there was an old lady at the stand having a speech, and she had a Freudian slip, and she was like explaining, we must do good, our habits, the babies we eat, the food we eat.
Oh my goodness.
That was the best.
Oh my goodness.
But it's coming out, man. They can't help it, man. They can't control it.
They can't. Why should they bother to hide it? The only reason that you thought you were loved, and that they showed what this pretend love of like, oh, you need a stronger vibrator? We've got a new one coming out now, is so that it's going to hurt more when they take it away. When you're going to be like the people in Texas who just had a hurricane force winds take out the state and everything else, and hardly 20 people died in what would have been and now it's only been 7 days and they're starting to go, dang, these mosquitoes are everywhere.
I get that feeling sometimes.
And it's 100 degrees, and all those people that was like, everything fell down right upon me and it was a miracle. God must love me. Or you're about to get judged in ways you have no idea. Starvation. Who knows what diseases are in that water? The United States is going broke. There's no help coming. Your insurance isn't going to pay for your house. The people who had the fire in Palestine, Iowa, here in the United States, it's just called Palestine. Another very suspicious deal.
They had more of those.
There are still a number of those people living in their houses, tucking in their children at night, knowing they're being poisoned because they don't want to lose their equity. And they're waiting on a check that's never going to come. And their kids are getting worse and worse every day, and we're all guilty of it to some extent. There are going to be choices coming now. So
yeah, I feel that too.
One of the biggest deals of the 1958 that my lunchbox was just talking about, that, once again, I'm the only, as far as I know to this day, I'm the only one that still has, where I can go up on my, what do they call these? The bookmarks, and pull it up. I thought I had it right here. Oh, it's right on the main line. Oh, I don't want to do that. I got to go cancel that and go here and then here and load it up, because, I've been talking about this deal for a long time. I know this statute, and that it's public law. The National Defense Education Program. Here it is. Be it stated that this is the National Defense Education Act of 1958. This is the one that brings you DARPA, NASA, and everything else. And if I'm not mistaken, I can get pretty close to rolling down to about where it says, that everything changed. Where is it? A little bit more. And this is when the United States, everybody was going to get paid. This was Title V, and everybody had to do a new, what do they call that? An affidavit to swear that the United States hadn't been taken over. I do solemnly swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the United States of America and will defend the Constitution and laws of the United States against all foreign enemies. Well, that's part 2. What's number 1 say? Nobody gets any money by the authority of this act unless, this is number 1, he has executed and filed in writing with the commissioner an affidavit that he does not believe in and is not a member of and does not support any organization that believes in or teaches the overthrow of the United States government by force or violence or by any illegal or unconstitutional method. And then you're going to have to swear before God in 1958 if you want to get paid. So people want to tell me that we don't have this narrowed down when it was. The United States as Nazis were covering up our racist past. There's no reason. We're not Darwinist. We are not the chosen white race where the 1% of the population of the world should have been in charge of 99.9% of the money. That was a takeover from Satan, and it's time to pay the piper. Vara, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Well, you said a lot there. I'm just kind of
Well,
It's been always been in the back of my mind, like where the fuck is this going now? We're gonna lose this fiat currency and this system, but it's just become
the currency.
it's
That's
become
the
a
first thing
digital
out of
form.
your head, because that's like super important. You nailed it. The BRICS thing, I don't really understand it, but I know it shouldn't be gold or silver or something. I mean, bartering, but not force. You have to take my gold. What if I only got chickens?
Well, like way I always understood it, like they base value sort of, they determine value based on how much is there. Like, if Da Vinci paints one painting and he dies, and it's like there's only one of those, it's going to pay a hell of a lot of money. But you got hell a lot of gold and silver. I don't know, like when I became more aware, I was thinking like, why is gold and silver really so valuable? I think the only true value is human value. And
Yeah,
like
go ahead, keep talking. I want to hear you talk, man. I just
Yeah.
want to show. I'm going to show some pictures while you talk, if you don't mind.
the real true value in life in this world is human value. All other value based on any material things or abstract, subjective things and ideologies, that is all just subjective and it's agreed upon. So what's the most valuable thing to every human? It's their time, right? And how they use it.
Yeah.
So we should have a system where it's just based on, people's time and energy, and kind of, I don't know, I guess you need a unit of measure for that too. And
Time.
yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Or just
Because this time is
it's
going to run out.
individual.
When we stop to think about it, eventually all of our time is going to run out. I'm wrong. I'm right. The Bible's wrong. The Bible's right. We're all going to die. And they're treating us like clowns. We've got all these proofs. These are just pictures I've used for past shows, because this has been going on a long time, and we've all been waiting, for something like this. We could talk about the orphans. We can
Mhm.
go back over everything. How this story was just last year, where all of a sudden there were hidden Jewish tunnels under New York City. Nothing to see here, people.
Yeah.
Well, this guy begged to differ. He said, I seen some pretty weird stuff going on, but it's gone. It's over. They're changing art. It used to look like this. Now it looks like that. Okay, that's just rubbing it in your face. So we've got a pretty obvious situation here.
Got a nice collection there.
Yeah, that's why I save my old computers and hard drives, because a lot of this stuff is just, it's proof. It's
Mhm.
evidence that leads towards proof. Well, I'm gonna, what I want to remind people is that a lot of those pictures of the body and things is because my emphasis is also on the fact that we are told we're the temple of God. That's where the Holy Spirit is for the ones that are changed. And, once we realize that, and that there are living entities in us that rely on us, that when we die, they die. And some of these entities, from what I'm told, what I understand, they marry for life, they bury their dead, and when they dig out their apartments, what's left over is called our earwax.
Say
And
what?
there are things that are in us that are constantly, raising families, breeding, going out to eat, coming home, feeding their children, living their lives in their own little worlds, while we're out here supposedly connecting with a spirit that's telling us this is not our home. We're going to be changed. You can trust in this. And it gives us all the examples from nature, from a caterpillar, moth, silkworm turning to a butterfly. They retain their memories, except it was a slug, it was amoeba, it was pupa, it was a caterpillar, it was a corius. It's flying away in beauty.
Well, you made it sound like a nightclub, not a temple. People just coming in and going in and woo, having a good time.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the party is like in there, but there's a lot of tension that goes on there, and too, because we hurt ourselves, and then we have to rely on those proteins and everything in our body to wake up and show no emergency. It's emergency for them too. As somebody who's studied gangrene, because I've had it, and that's why this finger is so messed up. It really makes you realize how much your body has to work together. And then when it gives up, it just gives up. So it's like, well, can't figure it out. Let's shut it down. And that hurts. Well, anything you want to add? Because I'm going to, keep this, keeping it short. I got to get prepared.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll just say, like, you want to do it. You want to do the Bible challenge tomorrow?
Yeah. Do you need any more than me to just remind you? It's one word, starfortbaby@gmail.com.
Did you tell me that last time?
Huh?
Did you tell me that last time? I guess you did. I don't
Probably.
know.
But I could.
No, I was just gonna use
If
the
you
email.
put a comment, in on the video, I'll drop
sure.
it in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that Randy would like to be a part of that too, because those are great. And
You see,
so
like,
in the meantime, you stay ready. Everybody else, hold your breath, man. This is going to be good, because you can just tell he's got some good questions coming in for me on this Flat Earth Nation with its golden age past, because the mud flood was Armageddon, in my opinion. And that's why me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else, because we feel we're one called, two chosen, three trying to be faithful and having your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Give me the finished goodbye again.
Nakame.
Nakame.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Nakame.
Nakame.
Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao, arrivederci, hasta luego, Kaya. Man, that's a new one. That's Spanish for see you later, alligator, which really technically is see you later, big lizard.